I started in 1948, so among the snipe sailors that are active today, I'm one of the older group. Well, I started in Grand Rapids, Michigan. I was 12 years old at the time, and my dad bought me my first snipe, which was a clunker by today's standards. And we had a very small fleet there in Grand Rapids, 4, 5, 6 boats active. It was a fleet that had started up before World War II. And there were a number of members of that original fleet that were still around, so they helped me get started in the snipe fleet. We got around to the regattas and local fleets. There was like 30 fleets in Michigan. And one of the fun things to do on the weekends was to go to these various sailing regattas, and we could all make those in a 2 or 3 hour drive from our home base. So as we got more experience in doing that, then the fleet started to grow. New boats were brought in. And we started gaining in the competition levels because we were up against much better sailors, so we got more experienced. And that was a fun part because we grew the fleet from about 5 boats up to around 50 boats by the mid-1950s. I had a few chances at doing some good things back in the 1950s and 60s. So yeah, I did win a few regattas. The first big thrill I had growing up was going to the 1952 Snipe Nationals, which were held at Green Lake, Wisconsin. And that was my first really big event. And I had a snipe that was built in 1941 at that time. And it had done pretty well in the 1942 Snipe Internationals. I think it finished 5th. But we still had old sails from Murphy and Nye sails from the pre-World War II days, and so we were probably outclassed by everybody there, but we managed to put a couple of wins together back-to-back in the Wells division and finished 3rd in the Wells that year as a 16-year-old at the time, and we felt really lucky being able to do that well in that regatta. And then after that we got into, because that was a national event, our local fleet was represented at, so after that the other members came into our fleet, and we got to be way more competitive. And Dexter Theed and Bob Fromm and some of the others in the Grand Rapids fleet began to show up as winners of different events in the Midwest. So it was a good training experience. Originally, the wood boats we thought were the best boats, and in fact, after glass boats were first introduced in 1954 officially, and the wood boat community looked at those as kind of experimental in a way, and that there was a lot of things not known about how the glass would perform or hold up. And frankly, the wood boats held the edge because the early fiberglass boats were not stiff enough in torsional strength or in the stiffness of the hull, so that we felt the wood boats were stiffer and faster boats. And that proved to be true all the way up until 1967, when the first fiberglass boat won. Wood boats were kind of disappointed, I think, that glass was introduced because their specialty was in wood construction, and gradually a few of them moved over into the glass, like Verlet. Some others started right out from glass, like Francis Laughlin, and so they stayed with glass, of course, even though some of their first boats had wood decks on them. But gradually the glass boats got improved, especially when Herb Shear and the Tabasco group got going with their stiffer construction for fiberglass. And from that point on, it's been pretty much a fiberglass game. There was many memorable things about the local fleet sailing. We did all of our sailing on the weekends. And so what we were able to do is the yacht club was able to always schedule some kind of several fun events, whether they were long distance races or night races or what we call bang and go back races, where you start the race and then if the gun goes off again, you have to return back to the starting line area and then wait for the next gun to go off to head off on the course again. Even now, we've had people here that I've met up with 50 years ago and sailed against. And they all stay kind of true to the snipe class in one way or another. They may not have a snipe now, but they remember their snipe days and are still interested in the class.